This is Jay Martin.
All right, welcome back to the Jay Martin Show. My name is Jay Martin, and I'm joined once again by the president and CEO of Fortuna Silver Mines, Jorge Ganoza. Jorge, welcome back to the show.
Jay, it's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, look, my audience loved the first interview that we did together, and I think people are very excited about the Fortuna story with good reason. And today, there's lots to talk about on the Fortuna front. For producing mines, 4 different countries, great geographic distribution, which provides all kinds of security against geopolitical threats and uncertainties, strong production numbers. But I feel like what the headline is right now for Fortuna is your next project, right? The Séguéla project, West Africa, looking to be in production on time and under budget by mid-2023. That's super near term. And so today I wanted you to bring my audience behind the curtain a little bit on that project. Talk to us about where you're at from a construction standpoint, because I know you're close, and what material changes this is going to make to the Fortuna story.
Yes, clearly Séguéla is a flagship property for the company. To help the audience understand it a bit better, we have currently reserves that support a life of mine for close to 10 years and additional resources currently that leads to support the thinking that the mine has the potential to operate far beyond the current 10 years we have on reserves. And we'll talk more about that in the interview. Those are low cost ounces. Our all-in sustaining cost is scheduled to be under $1,000 per ounce, so very healthy margin. So long life of mine, low cost, healthy margins that translate into healthy cash flows, free cash flows, and meaningful production. About 130, 150,000 ounces of gold annually is what this mine can deliver. So, we made the construction decision back in September 2021. And in this difficult construction environment with lots of inflationary pressures and the strain on the supply chain, we've been able to manage the project on time, on budget. So as of the end of November, we're around 85% complete with construction. We have a capital budget to take us to first gold of about $173 million. We have committed almost 95% of that capital already. We have accrued around 140 million of that total. So we have significantly de-risked the project. To give you a bit more color, all excavations are complete, all placement of concrete is complete. We are working on erection of structural steel, installation of equipment. In these coming days, we will be energizing our power substation, the transformers. Yep. We are connected to the national power grid and benefit from accessing cheap energy from the Ivory Coast power grid, which is largely fueled by hydro and natural gas.
Excellent.
So very clean, low-cost energy. So, we're going to start mining excavations. We're preparing to start ore control drilling and start mining excavations in January. So, all in all, the project is advancing well. Our team on site is doing an excellent delivery. And we're feeling very calm for first gold mid-2023, right?
Yeah, okay. So that is significant de-risking to hit 85% of project completion. Forecasted to do, you said, about 130,000 ounces of gold in year one. Just for context, Fortuna produced about 207 100,000 ounces of gold in 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, our guidance for 2022, the current year, is about 260,000 ounces of gold. Plus, on top of that, we produce, close to 6.5 million ounces of silver.
Yeah.
Right. So if we do some alchemy and do a gold equivalent between all the silver and small byproduct zinc and lead that we produce, we convert all of that to gold. We produce about 400,000 ounces of gold equivalents annually today.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. So talk to me about, let's start with the cost. It's low cost mine. Obviously, I love that you've got access to cheaper electricity via hydroelectric and natural gas. No companies are immune to inflationary pressures right now. So congrats to you for building this mine on budget. Actually, let's get into the reserve because I want to talk about that at Séguéla. So right now you're looking at about a 10-year mine life. Talk to me about the reserve. What are investors looking at down there?
Yes. In a project like this where we're enjoying so much exploration success, reserves become very much a moving target, right? So our feasibility study, which was our published feasibility study, published in early 2021, talked about 1 million ounces of gold in reserves.
Okay.
Right? Since the publication of that reserve statement and feasibility study, we have announced the discovery and subsequent development of resources on a new important deposit named Sandberg. The Séguéla mine, I would like to think of it more as a camp, as a mining camp. And what do I mean by that? We have a commanding land position in the area. We control about 30 line kilometers from north to south on this prolific structural corridor with the right rocks, the right geologic environment. Within that area, we have 5 ore bodies that make up the Séguéla reserve today. Those ore bodies are Antena, Ancien, Kula, Boulder, and Agouti. And those are the deposits that make up the reserves, the 1 million ounces in reserves in our feasibility study. But subsequent to that, we have made a significant discovery in a 6th deposit named Sandberg. On Monday, yesterday, we published a resource estimation for Sandberg deposit with roughly 270,000 ounces of gold in measured indicated resources,
Okay.
and about 500,000 ounces in inferred resources.
Okay.
So, that makes Sandberg,
that's a material change,
the largest mineral deposit in the Séguéla complex or camp today, right? And that is not part of our reserve. We still have to do more work to see how much of those inferred resources we can, migrate to reserves and then schedule them in the mine plan. But mineralization remains wide open. I invite you and your audience to look at our news release, look at the long section that we provide there, and get a sense of how mineralization here remains open and how meaningful it is, right? Clearly, Sandberg will be the largest mineral deposit in the Séguéla camp, clearly.
Yeah, clearly with those numbers, that's a material change. It's a material change not just in the outlook for Séguéla, but it changes the whole picture for Fortuna, being that Séguéla is going to become, by 2023, likely the flagship mine, the 5th, right? The 5th mine in the portfolio, but the flagship, most importantly.
Yeah. Fortuna today, Jay, is a big company. Again, 400,000 ounces a year of gold equivalent production. That's about 100,000 ounces of gold every quarter that we deliver. And all of that production is supported by our consolidated gold equivalent reserve is currently hovers around 4 million ounces, right?
Okay.
So Sunbird, once converted to reserves, will come to add to those 4 million ounces.
Yeah.
But again, in Fortuna, like you said at the beginning, we operate in 4 countries, are developing or mine in the 5th country. We employ roughly, our workforce is roughly 5,000 men and women working in all of these jurisdictions, making Fortuna happen every day. So these ounces are exciting. These new ounces that we bring at Sunbird are exciting, not just for the Séguéla mine and what it means, but also, for the corporation. But in the context, Fortuna is more than Séguéla, right? Séguéla is important, but certainly Fortuna is more than Séguéla.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, after 17 years in business, Fortuna Silver Mines, right? You're putting out news like this that materially changes the outlook for the company. How much do you focus on investor response? Like, are you currently satisfied, Jorge? You've been doing this a long time, building a company that's respected throughout the silver sector. Everybody knows the name, and the name commands respect. How much energy do you put on investor response when you put out material news like this? Are you watching the share price? Are you watching the investor response? Or do you just keep your head down and keep delivering, and you just keep moving despite what the market's doing? Or how do you balance that?
That's an excellent question. To put it in simple terms, I never like to put the carriage in front of the horses, right? So first is steady delivery, because I am not a promoter. No, I am a mine engineer. So first is steady delivery, and then communicate, right? And just like we're doing this afternoon with you, Jay, and your audience, communicate the hard facts of what is it that we're uncovering, discovering. This is a very exciting business because it's a business about discovery, right? Creating value where nothing is there. Today we are changing the landscape in such a positive way in Séguéla, no? Through developing a resource. If you ask me what I'm passionate about, is about unlocking the value that's buried on the earth and is not serving society, right? So by unlocking that value, we are impacting so many lives around us in such a positive way. We're contributing to the economies of these developing nations. So I am passionate about, and I am passionate about telling the story. But everything has to be supported by strong, steady delivery, right? So we focus on the delivery, and then it's a big part of my responsibility to share the work, the good work that these 5,000 strong men and women are doing every day. No, we are a publicly traded company, and that's a responsibility for me to give visibility to all of that to the investment community, and that's a responsibility that I take very seriously. Mm-hmm. But what I share, what I like to share, is based on the facts, of course, that are taking place at the different sites, the discoveries, the production. So yeah, I love talking about the business. I love talking about what we're doing every day, and sometimes markets, as you know, Jay, come and go, right? Sometimes there is more attention to the mining equities, the natural resource sector, sometimes less. But we're long every day. Investors can come and go, but as I like to say, we're long every day. We're operating mines with high prices, with depressed prices, with average prices. We're long every day.
Long every day for 17 years, Jorge. It's a strong message. And you're right, but it's important because you have 2 jobs, right? You have to build Fortuna Silver Mines, manage the production of very large silver and gold producing assets. You also have to manage a shareholder base and their expectations. And so it's not enough for you just to build an amazing company. You have to make sure everybody knows about it, right? Which is something that a private company CEO does not have to worry about. So let me ask you a question on that front. How would you advise, and just talk to me, generally speaking, talk to silver and gold investors right now who may be frustrated. They feel like the macro trend is supporting a very strong gold and silver market, but it's not as strong as they think it should be, right? They're looking at all the chaos and uncertainty in the world, and they're thinking, why? Why am I not being rewarded in the market like I think I should be? Do you tell them to temper your enthusiasm? This is a long game. Be patient, buy right, sit tight. If you have any counsel or advice for the prospective shareholders of a company like Fortuna Silver Mines?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I know I have a lot of peers, and by that I mean CEOs of peer companies of Fortuna.
Yeah.
That are really strong advocates of metal prices and strong preachers, I would say, of high commodity prices, high metal prices, and I am not like that. I will be very, very clear with that. Of course, I have an opinion, and I'll share it with you in a minute. But being in this business for so long, I like to focus my time and energy on the things I can control, right? So in that regard, I am a bit of a price agnostic, right? I'm a bit of a price agnostic, but I have my responsibility very clear. And it is my responsibility to provide you as an investor the best call option on higher prices. Because we're all here for the higher prices. We're all here for the higher prices. Now, the problem is those higher prices, that thesis that supports higher prices might take a year to materialize, or 2 or 3 or whatever, or perhaps it's imminent, but in the meantime we'll just have to withstand some violent swings, right, and price retrenchments. So it is my job to provide you as an investor the best call option. So whatever environment, Fortuna will be resilient, a resilient company that can perform throughout the precious metals price cycle. It is my responsibility to provide you not the most leverage to the metal, but a company that is resilient and can perform throughout the precious metals price cycle. Because if we all can agree on this call that silver should be trading at $50 tomorrow and gold at $2,500, but while that happens, we might have to withstand $1,200 gold or $900 gold or $14 silver, like we did 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want your company to go broke if those things happen in the intermediate, right? I have a personal opinion, of course, no? I mean, I think investors in general, and I've been, let me tell you, I've seen a lot of markets through the years. I've been in this industry, since a very early age, and all my professional life. And I believe, I think the investors in general have been distracted by the themes of the electric energy, the EV revolution, decarbonization, lithium, other investment options providing incredible returns, like we've seen Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and all of these things have created distractions, I believe, for the investors. Investors that in prior times would have, just be more focused on the precious metals theme, have been faced with other options for returns. Now, a lot of those have burst as bubbles, and some of their fundamentals are being questioned. You know, the returns of the likes of Tesla, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, or whatever. And I believe at the end of the day, you know, for thousands and thousands of years, we go back to the same refuge, which is gold, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I believe that in this environment, geopolitical tension, macroeconomic uncertainty, you know, we're going structurally into a new phase of more significantly stickier inflation. We are at risk of, you know, going through deflation in North America. So, you know, precious metals is where I certainly want to be, but I do recognize that we might have to be patient, right? So you want a company that's performing. And, you know, as I say, I've been long 4 generations. My family's been in mining for 4 generations. So I've been long actually for 4 generations.
Right.
So but I don't advocate for investors to be long all that long. My job is different. My job is to provide you with that optionality so you can better time when you come in the sector, when you go out, and be comfortable that you are in a well-run company that takes its responsibilities not only to investors, but to stakeholders in general very seriously, right?
And I appreciate so much of that. I mean, so much of what you said, you know, walking us through just the cyclicality of this business. And rule number 1 for a company in this industry is don't go broke during those bear markets, because the bear markets are guaranteed, you know, and during 17 years in business, you've proven the durability of Fortuna Silver Mines. And the significance of that is that, you know, I'm seeing a trend right now, and it's a trend towards stability and certainty. And I'm seeing this at a civil level, like individuals like myself are maybe leaving bigger cities, moving to smaller towns, looking for less dependence and more independence and sovereignty in their life. We're seeing this at a commercial level, companies cleaning up their balance sheets and reducing G&A, reducing their dependence on the equity markets, becoming more stable. And we're seeing this at a sovereign level over the last 8 years. The amount of physical gold that central banks are buying has gone way up, in addition to repatriating that gold. And all of that points to a stable and, well, a stable way of life. People are looking for more stability. And when it comes to financial assets, there isn't one that trumps gold from a stability standpoint. Now, this may frustrate investors because often you mentioned other assets like cryptocurrencies and, you know, renewable energy, and there's been some big winners over the last couple of years, and gold's been fairly boring. But that's the point of a safe haven asset, right? It shouldn't do much. Imagine if it was volatile. It would never be have been able to be used as a currency if it had such volatility. The utility of gold is that it's durable and stable and doesn't do much, but it's asymmetric. And there's very few points in time when owning gold will really do you some favors. But during those moments in history, gold's about the only thing you want to own during moments of extreme volatility. So look, what I really appreciate is that 17 years in, you're still building a bigger and better company. You're still discovering a new flagship asset. And it speaks to how dedicated you are to this story. And I really appreciate how you communicate that you are a steward of shareholder capital first and foremost, because every investor needs to ask that critical question when you write a check into this industry. Why would I let this human being have an adventure with my money? Why would I trust them? You know, and so putting that on display, understanding that you're a steward of shareholder capital first and foremost, and providing that call option, right, on an increased price. I love it. Look, Jorge, I obviously am a fan and a shareholder. I love the work that you do. I love the dedication of your team. I love the geographic distribution of your assets. And I love that you have a new flagship project coming online in mid-2023 that you're continuing to improve. And we spoke about the 5th deposit today on the Séguéla, within the Séguéla compound, as you put it. Anything else that you want to leave my audience with today?
No, I think we touched a lot. Follow the story. We have exciting high value opportunities in front of us, and we'll continue to harvest the portfolio. We are well established in Latin America as a jurisdiction, all the way from Mexico down to Argentina, and in West Africa, basically anchored in the Ivory Coast, which is a great place for business. Follow the story.
Follow the story. Yes, on the NYSE, the ticker is FSM, and up in Canada, it's FVI. Thank you, Jorge, for coming back on the show. I'd love to bring you back on, because in terms of like near-term news catalysts, obviously we're going to want an update on the construction process at Séguéla. We're 85% complete today, expecting to be in production by mid-2023. That's super near term. That's really near term. So it'd be interesting to bring you back like Q1, Q2 of 2023 and get the update.
Absolutely. We love the opportunity, DJ.
All right. Thanks again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We actually need to have a damn good recession.
The Russian economy is a gas station run by the mafia.
$41 trillion has been created out of nothing.
There's a stranglehold in China on most of these resources.
The outlook and fundamentals for the metals remains very, very strong.